It's 8 a.m. It's New Year's Day, and I'm gonna try a new type of nature journaling today, something that I want to practice a lot more in the new year. And it's not really the easiest type of nature journaling for me, but I think it's something a lot of people want to learn more about. My friends are gonna be mushroom hunting, an activity that requires a little bit more moving around than nature journaling usually does, and I'm gonna try to nature journal while I'm with them mushroom hunting. So first thing I need to do is just find this spot. It's about 8:30 in the morning, New Year's Day, and I'm driving to find this location. Hopefully I can fill some pages and make a helpful video that can help you nature journal when you're with someone who's doing another activity such as mushroom hunting. Okay, so I'm at the right location now, but now I just need to figure out where the sketchy looking mushroom hunting people are. I'm looking for like pickup trucks and sketchy looking people with like baskets or paper bags or backpacks or something like that. That'll probably be a giveaway. So if you're gonna be nature journaling with other people that are doing a different activity, it's good to show up early. That way you can eat a quick breakfast and maybe do some metadata in your nature journal before they show up. I just heard some birds, for example, in the parking lot. It sounded exactly like some of the bird sounds that I've been hearing in Costa Rica. And it's really cool because there's a species of bird here, these grackles, that are from here in California all the way down to Costa Rica. I have my regular nature journal kit with me, but my normal sketchbook that is a lot bigger, it's just a little bit more work taking it in and out. So I want to be more mobile since I'm following people around who aren't going to be nature journaling or catering to my needs as a nature journaler. So I brought this smaller book that actually has the exact same paper as what's in my larger sketchbook, but in a smaller size with a soft cover format. So this size is perfect for fitting into my pocket, and I can just carry this around and make sketches and nature journal in here. So the first thing that I'm gonna do before they show up is I'm gonna add my metadata, my location, sort of guesses about temperature and stuff like that. While I was filling out my metadata, my friends showed up and we started looking for mushrooms. Here are some of the first ones that we found, which are basically LBMs, meaning little brown mushrooms. They're often very hard to identify. Conditions seemed pretty good, but it probably hadn't been warm and sunny long enough for many of the mushrooms to sprout. However, we did find some edible ones at the very beginning.
So, salt-loving agarics, chunky, really.
What's that texture called when they're sort of like feathery almost on the top?
Scaly.
Scaly.
Yeah. Scaly, real low, short stipe.
Yeah, and it almost gets thinner towards the bottom and fatter towards
gets
the
real
cap.
pokey.
Even that small one has that.
And they do that staining.
So they're not mycorrhizal, they're
Decomposers.
decomposers.
Yeah, if you want to check out. So they're already stained and oxidized, but if you're like, oh, I didn't get that, you can take another slice and you see it's really white in comparison. Then that'll oxidize, and it's called red staining. Different mushrooms have different characteristics that help identify them. So for example, this red staining feature is really important. The short stem that Paul mentioned is also important. And I have found that nature journaling is the perfect way to get better at remembering these characteristics. So I think that mushroom hunting and nature journaling are actually a really good combination. And nature journaling has helped me learn mushroom hunting identification faster. I just did a quick sketch in my nature journal showing someone picking the mushroom, a little bit indication that's a grass lawn, some of the important information about it, but you could go back and draw more details from the photo or do some more work on this page once you get home. I bet you can't guess what these marks are all over these trees. If you can, I'll give you a prize. Just like any organism, there are certain diagnostic features that are important for identification with mushrooms and others that aren't. So for example, these mushrooms growing on wood, that is a very important characteristic for identification.
These mushrooms, on the other hand, are growing out of the soil and are probably mycorrhizal. They look superficially similar to an edible mushroom, but they don't match the other diagnostic characteristics. We have been moving fairly quickly, but I have managed to get 2 pages full in my little nature journal. This mushroom shows a couple really important diagnostic features. You can see a small ring or skirt there on the stem, right where my fingers are. That is a very important feature. And you can see the asymmetry and waviness of the cap. If I were here by myself or with other nature journalers, I would have spent a long time doing some sort of landscape-ito in this really cool creek area. The boulders were really beautiful. However, we were only there for about 5 minutes. So if you're the kind of person that can come back to your nature journal pages in the studio, you could work from a photo, but this is the quick sketch that I did in the time we were there. Notice that I included one of my friends in the sketch, and I also added words to it. So I get the scale, but I also get more of the narrative feeling, and the fact that I was there with my friends and other people is really important to the story. There was this giant sedge growing in the creek, and I wanted to identify it and put it on my iNaturalist. So I took some photos of the inflorescence and the leaves and the overall size of the plant in comparison to my friend, so I could post it on iNaturalist later. I love how these willow roots are forming this mat, almost like a dam. Some edible mushrooms have so-called poisonous close lookalikes, such as the chanterelle, which is edible, has this supposed lookalike, the jack-o'-lantern. But if you look at the gills, it has a totally different type of gills than the chanterelle mushroom, which does not have true gills. Always look at the gills. This is a great time to use the nature journaling strategy called joint comparison. Even if you do it when you get home and you look at a mushroom book, you could look at the chanterelle right here and then look at the jack-o'-lantern right here and nature journal them side by side, comparing the things that are similar and the things that are different. This has been proven to be a way that humans can notice more about things when they compare 2 things side by side than if they look at the things separately. So this would be a great time to do a joint comparison. This is the book that I would recommend if you could get any book about mushroom hunting or learning about mushrooms. This would be the book, and then you could even nature journal from home as a way to practice before you go mushroom hunting or during the off season. This would be another good mushroom to do a joint comparison on. Look at the orange underneath. These are false turkey tails. They look so much like turkey tails on the top, but underneath they're orange. If you did a joint comparison between the false turkey tails and the real turkey tails, it would help you learn to identify them. Sometimes if you're nature journaling with friends that are mushroom hunting, you might get left behind, which is what happened here. I'm also looking back at my pages to make myself feel better about how much I've accomplished. Sometimes looking at the pages you have already filled makes you feel precious and less likely to take risks, or it can make you feel complacent. Nature journaling about relationships is underrated. When you're looking at mushrooms and nature journaling mushrooms, pay attention to the trees. I think this is an Engelmann oak, but always try to pay attention to the trees because mushrooms are often growing in relationship to those trees. Here is one mushroom that we found and I journaled really quickly, but I also took the cap off and put it on my page and left it there to create a spore print. This is what the spore print looked like from that mushroom, and spore color is diagnostic. So this dark color of spores is easy to see on the white paper. It's also artistic, so I'm working on ways to incorporate these into my mushroom hunting nature journal. If you're mushroom hunting in California, you need to know what poison oak looks like. Don't rub it on your...
Yeah.
Some mushrooms stain or bleed when you cut or bruise them. This is diagnostic. Look at the way this one is creating milk from the gills. Another really important thing when mushroom hunting, and is a good practice, is to put mushrooms back or to cover them up if you touch them and disturb them. Don't leave ravaged mushrooms lying around everywhere. It's bad practice. One last thing I'm going to point out is it's important to pay attention to mushrooms at different stages. Depending on what stage they're at, they could look like a completely different type of mushroom. So try to find them at multiple stages to get a good ID. Mushroom hunting is one of those things that I think combines really well with nature journaling. I am doing my best to get more mushroom hunters interested in nature journaling and more nature journalers interested in mushroom hunting. They're just the perfect match, and nature journaling can help accelerate your learning and deepen your observation in all of these other hobbies. So whether you're going with some mushroom hunters or you're going with some people doing something else, such as looking at lichens, looking for edible plants, native plant enthusiasts, wildflower enthusiasts, anything like that, you can apply some of the techniques from this video and nature journal in those situations, because it'll help you grow so much faster as a nature journaler and as a naturalist in general. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out one of these videos for more nature journal show. Bye.